بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم my beloved ones ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, we are going to continue Manasik al-Hajj, and we have a new topic today, the types of Hajj, which are from ruling number 143 to 146. Yes. So, types of Hajj, ruling number 143. Aqsamul Hajj thalatha. The types of Hajj are three. Tamattu' wa ifrad wa qiran. تمتع وإفراد وقران. تمتع وإفراد وقران. So we had pointed out some of these variances, but today we are going to mention explicitly what are the differences. So والأول, the first one, فرض من كان البعد بين أهله ومكة أكثر من 16 فرسخا. أكثر من 16 فرسخا. So the first one is obligatory to those who are away from Mecca more than 16 farsakh. So farsakh is about 5.5. So if we calculate, okay, so it will come about approximately 80 kilometers. To be precise, let's see our calculator. So farsakh is 5.5, okay, multiply by 5.5 kilometers, one farsakh, and 16. So it's about 88 kilometers. 88 kilometers. The reason I say about, because these are all not like precise. They have measured it somehow and they have given us the closest approximate kilometers. And even in the farsakh, some scholars they say it's 5, some scholars they say 5.5, some went to 4 point something. But Sayyid Sistani Damadullah, Sayyid al-Khuy Quddus Sirruh, they consider it about 5.5, and they أقل من 16 فرسخا, below 88 kilometers, below 16 farsakh. In bracket, we can put 88 kilometers. I mean, so this, so there, the criteria is 88 kilometers, more than 88 kilometers. So 88 kilometers plus more. والأول فرض, the first one is obligatory. من كان البعد, whomsoever the distance is between أهله ومكة, between his family, that means between his hometown and Mecca, is more than 16 farsakh, more than 16 farsakh, about 88 kilometers. والآخران, and the other two, which are what? Ifrad and Qiran. فرض أهل مكة, it is the obligation of people of Mecca, okay? ومن يكون البعد بين أهل ومكة أقل من 16 فرسخا, and those who are less than 16 farsakh, less than 16 farsakh, that means less than 88 kilometers. So if this is understood, then we move to the next ruling. Yes. So ruling number 144. لا يجزي حج التمتع عمن فرضه الإفراد أو القران. It is not sufficient for someone who's obligated to perform Hajj al-Tamattu to perform Ifrad and Qiran. So it is not sufficient for a person who is obligated to do Hajj al-Tamattu. He lives 88 kilometers above, that he does Hajj al-Ifrad and Hajj al-Qiran. Okay? It is not sufficient. If he does it, he'll say no. How? Like, he will make tamattu. The difference between tamattu, we said, Umrah plus Hajj. Umrah comes first, Hajj second. They both are like one part. So, and there is no tawaf and nisa in the middle. So, Umrah, Hajj, the way Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept his finger into each other and said, "Dakhalat al-Umrah fil Hajj." Umrah has entered in Hajj and became one part, one compound obligation for those who are 88 kilometers far away from Mecca. Okay, they live there. They're living more than 88 kilometers. Now, so what is the thing? They both have to be done together. And there is no Tawaf al-Nisa in Umrah, because Tawaf al-Nisa has been delayed all the way at the end of the Hajj. So 2 Umrahs, 1 Tawaf al-Nisa. But in Hajj al-Ifrad and Hajj al-Qiran, it's different. So if somebody says, let me do Hajj al-Tamattu, that means Umrah al-Tamattu, Hajj al-Tamattu, and he was living in the vicinity less than 88 kilometers, then it will not be sufficient. We'll tell him, kiss your Hajj goodbye. Okay? Kama la yajzi. Similarly, it is not sufficient for the one who's obligated to do Hajj al-Tamattu, that he does Hajj al-Qiran and Ifrad. You are living 88 kilometers far away from Mecca. So you cannot do Hajj al-Ifrad and Hajj al-Qiran. You have to do Hajj al-Tamattu. Unless there are very rare cases, so for example, some women, they encounter their monthly excuse and they are not able to perform the Umrah al-Tamattu and those kind of things, but they know that after the Hajj they will be. So there are some remedies we are going to talk about. So there are some exceptional case for those who encounter certain circumstances that they change the Umrah al-Tamattu to Hajj al-Ifrad. So the same thing, well, kama la yajzi. Similarly, it is not sufficient. Similarly, Hajj al-Qiran and Hajj al-Ifrad will not be sufficient for someone who's obligated to do or to perform Hajj al-Tamattu. So first one was Hajj al-Tamattu is not sufficient, will not be sufficient for someone who's obligated to do Hajj al-Ifrad and Hajj al-Qiran. Similarly, Hajj al-Ifrad and al-Qiran is not sufficient for someone who's obligated to perform Hajj al-Tamattu. Na'am. However, this is where I said some of the exceptional cases. قد تنقلب وظيفة المتمتع إلى الإفراد. So there might be some cases, okay, where the responsibility of the one who has to do tamattu', that he converts it to or performs Hajj al-Ifrad. كما سيأتي. This is as it is going to be explained in upcoming sessions, okay, upcoming rulings. هذا بالنسبة إلى حجة الإسلام. This is what we're talking about, the first obligatory Hajj, the first lifetime Hajj which is obligatory, Hajjat al-Islam. So someone who's obligated to do Hajjat al-Islam, Umrah, Hajj al-Tamattu', he cannot do Ifrad and Qiran. If someone is obligated to do Hajjat al-Islam, Tamattu' and Qiran, it will not be sufficient for him to Ifrad and Qiran, Ifrad and Qiran, it will not be sufficient for him to do Tamattu'. This ruling, he says, this ruling is for those who are going to perform Hajjat al-Islam. وأما بالنسبة إلى الحج المندوب والمنذور مطلقا. And as for the Hajj which is recommended, or the one which is associated with a vow, somebody says lillahi alayya, for example, I make upon myself for God, I make an obligation upon myself for God, for Allah, to perform Hajj. He has already done Hajjat al-Islam. So this is the recommended Hajj becoming obligatory by encounterance. Encounterance of what? A vow. So it gets associated with a vow. Now you got what you wanted. Now you have to perform fulfill the nether, fulfill the vow. Even if you had made an absolute nether, okay. For example, lillahi alayhi. For example, I'm going to perform Hajj al-Ifrad or Hajj al-Qiran, but I'm not qualified for that. Yes, that qualification is for Hajjat al-Islam, not for the recommended Hajj. So he says, um, Hajj al-Mandub, okay, as for the recommended Hajj, or wal-Manzur mutlaqan, the one which is associated with vow in all cases, like what? Either they are restricted or either they are unrestricted. Unrestricted, somebody says, this year, lillahi alayhi, I'm going to perform the Hajj al-Qiran or Hajj al-Ifrad. But he's supposed to do Hajj al-Tamattu. That's fine. He's done his wajib. This he can. So this is mutlaqan. It's not tied with anything. It's not attached with anything. It's just, I'm going to do. So what is the one which is restricted or limited or tied to something, strings attached? He says, if I pass my driver's license, for example, if I pass my exam, if I get my citizenship, if I get this, I get that, I will perform. So he attached, he made a conditional vow that if I get this, I do the Hajj. So this is the difference between the absolute in any ways Hajj, and no, restricted or limited. Whenever you get your thing, your condition is fulfilled, then you have to perform the Hajj based on the vow. So this is what he says, mutlaqan. وَالْمُوصَى بِهِ كَذَلِكَ. And again, the one where somebody said, after I die, perform the Hajj on my behalf. Okay? He had done his Hajjat al-Islam. So he said that do Hajj Qiran for me, Hajj al-Ifrat for me. So this is also, so he says that, وَالْمُوصَى بِهِ كَذَلِكَ. And somebody gave wasiyah to do Hajj on my behalf after I die, without specifying what type of Hajj. So the representative has an option to do either this or either that, either Qiran, either Ifrad, either Tamattu. وَالْمُوصَى بِهِ كَذَلِكَ مِن دُونِ تَعْيِينٍ. The wasiyat did not specify. The guy died and he had done his Hajjat al-Islam. But now he wanted somebody to do mustahab. Okay, but he did not specify what type of Hajj. Or he had another vow, but he did not specify. So he says, فَيَتَخَيَّرْ فِيهَا. On all these cases, what are these cases? Recommended Hajj, the Hajj that is associated with a vow, be it absolute vow or restricted vow, or a wasiyah, somebody's will, he made a will that after I die, perform Hajj on my behalf, and he had done. So all these three, they have done Hajjat al-Islam. So it's recommended, or either associated with a vow, or either it is in a wasiyah. So what should the representative do, or what should a person do? فيتخير فيها البعيد والحاضر بين الأقسام الثلاثة. So the one who is living in the vicinity of 88 kilometers from Mecca, or is living away from 88 kilometers of the vicinity of Mecca, they both have option to do any of these three types. بين الأقسام الثلاثة. وإن كان الأفضل التمتع. Though the best would be Hajj al-Tamattu, the one which has been emphasized upon, and has rewards and all those kind of things. The narrations are there. وإن كان الأفضل التمتع, even though the best would be Hajj al-Tamattu. Option is there, okay, for anyone living in the range of 88 or out of the range of 88 kilometers from Mecca. The option is there to do either this or either this or either this. However, the tamattu is afdal. Okay. Ruling number 145. إذا أقام البعيد في مكة. Let's say somebody was living in United States or in Europe or in Australia, Africa, Pakistan, wherever. Is ba'id. Let's say he got a job in Mecca or around the vicinity of Mecca in a factory or something like that. Whatever reasons, he moved. So he was far, now he became close in the vicinity, either Mecca or in the range of 88 kilometers from the vicinity of Mecca. Like Jeddah is about 80 kilometers. So see, like people living in Jeddah, if it is really under 88 kilometers, as many say, okay, or either some parts of Jeddah maybe. So those people who are living in 88 kilometers of vicinity in Jeddah, their responsibility is either Qiran or Ifrad, first Hajjat al-Islam, not Tamattu. So therefore, if let's say this far away got a job in Jeddah, which in area which is close, and you had the house in an area which is in the vicinity of 88 kilometers, or in Makkah or anywhere, or became a manager of a hotel, or because there are plenty of hotels and they always invite people from overseas to manage the hotel management and chef and cook and this and that. So he became in Makkah or in the vicinity of Makkah. So what will happen? Because he was far away, still he needs to do Hajj al-Tamattu? No. His obligation will be changed from Hajj al-Tamattu to Hajj al-Ifrad or Hajj al-Qiran. إذا أقام البعيد من مكة, if someone was living far away from Makkah, إذا أقام البعيد في مكة, if someone was living far away, he started residing in Makkah. انتقل فرضه إلى حج الإفراد أو القران. His responsibility, his obligation would be shifted or changed, okay, or transferred to Hajj of Ifrad or Hajj al-Qiran. No tamattu, obligatory Hajj we're talking about. بعد الدخول في السنة الثالثة. So the first year, no. After 3 years. As there are some narrations indicating a person establishes a residency in a city if he stays 3 years continuously. That's why some of the Maraja in Salatul Qasr, they say, if you move to a country or a city, you need to reside there 3 years continuously until you're considered a resident of that city. Okay? So if you are traveling and coming back for 1 day, then you pray tamam and not qasr. So there are some fuqaha, maraja, they have this 3 years rule. It appears in certain narrations. That's why. So here, so if somebody shifts from out of Makkah to in Makkah or in that vicinity, khalas, from now on his Hajj will be Hajj al-Qiran or Ifrad? No. He says the obligation changes or shifts or converts to the Hajj al-Ifrad al-Qiran from Hajj al-Tamattu بعد الدخول في السنة الثالثة, after entering the 3rd year. What does that mean? Not after 3 years. Many people, they get misconception. After entering the 3rd year means 1st year done, 2nd year done, the 3rd year enters. Now, if you go this year for Hajj, you are going to do either Qiran or either Ifrad. But if before the entrance of 3rd year, like in first 2 years, you are going to do Hajj al-Tamattu. وَأَمَّا قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ فَيَجِبُ عَلَيْهِ حَجُّ التَّمَتُّعِ. And as for before that, then it is obligatory upon him to perform Hajj of Tamattu. ولا فرق في ذلك بين أن تكون استطاعته ووجوب الحج عليه قبل إقامته في مكة أو في أثنائها. Okay, so the question comes. Let's say Hajj was already wajib on him before, okay? Before he started residing in Makkah. So what happens? Uh, can he, like after 2 years, when he enters the third year, he has to do Hajj Tamattu, because when he was overseas and living there, Hajj had become wajib. That means Hajj Tamattu. So after 2 years, shouldn't he be Hajj Tamattu, doing Hajj Tamattu, because it was obligated upon him long time ago and he did not perform it? No. He says there's no difference. It doesn't matter. So he says regardless, walaf kama la farqa, as it is, there is no difference في بين أن تكون إقامته بقصد لا ولا فرق في ذلك. There is no difference between أن تكون استطاعته ووجوب الحج عليه قبل إقامته في مكة أو في أثنائها. And there is no difference regardless of the obligation of Hajj and his ability to perform Hajj happened before residing in Makkah or during residing in Makkah. It doesn't matter. It is, the rule is after finishing second year and entering the third year. After entering the third year, that is the rule. Be it he was obligated to long time ago or during Makkah or before, it doesn't matter. There's another. What if somebody is staying Makkah and he's lost his passport and he's from those countries where they issue the passport with very difficulty? So he's stuck there in Makkah. And they told him, you are going to get your passport after 2 years or something like that, or a paperwork, whatever. So he's not made intention to reside, to be a resident of Makkah. He's stuck there for some reasons, or he has some temporary business or something happened, and it's like he's fighting a case and he has to be there for 2 years. So he said there's no difference. كما لا فرق فيه بين أن تكون إقامته بقصد التوطن أم لا. It doesn't matter whether he had made the intention of residency there in Makkah or he has not made the intention of residency. After 2 years, third year enters, his obligation shifts from tamattu to ifrad or qiran. وكذلك الحال في من أقام في غير مكة من الأماكن التي يكون البعد بينها وبين مكة أقل من 16 فرسخا. He says similar rule applies to those people who are residing between Mecca and between 88 kilometers from Mecca. You see, so people of Mecca, people living between Mecca and 88 kilometers, and people living out of 88 kilometers. So it's that the rule of Mecca and the Meccans is apply on those people who are residing between Mecca and 88 kilometers away from Mecca. So that in between people, they have the same ruling. وكذا الحال, similar rule will be applied في من أقام في غير مكة, those people who are residing out of Makkah or other than Makkah. من الأماكن التي يكون البعد بينها, from the places, they are living in places where the distance between Makkah and between their hometown is less than 16 farsakh, which is in bracket 88 kilometers. It doesn't matter. Ruling number 146. إذا أقام في مكة, if he had resided in Makkah, Meccan residence, وأراد أن يحج حج التمتع قبل انقلاب فرضه إلى حج الإفراد والقران, قيل يجوز له أن يحرم لعمرة التمتع من أدنى الحل, ولكنه لا يخلو عن إشكال ولحوة وجوبا أن يخرج إلى أحد المواقيت فيحرم منه، بل أحوط استحبابا أن يخرج إلى ميقات أهل بلده. والظاهر أن هذا حكم كل من كان في مكة وأراد الإتيان بحج التمتع ولو مستحبا. So what does he say? He says miqat now, somebody whose responsibility is going to be shifted from tamattu to qiran or ifrad. As we said, tamattu is afdal, more rewardable. Tamattu, okay, the one with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, because he was living in Medina. Medina is 400 kilometers about. So this person, he wants to do afdal. He wants to do the one which has great reward. And now the 2 years are ending. He's in the second year. And he just wants to go and perform the Hajj in this year before his responsibility changes and shifts. So he says that it was said that he can perform the Umrah because he's almost going to complete his 2 years. And remember, we said miqat of Umrah al-Tamattu is where? The one which are designated by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Masjid al-Shadara beside Medina, Juhfa between Medina and Jeddah, and then we have Qarn al-Manazil on the east side of Mecca between Gulf countries and Mecca, and then south between Yemen and Mecca, it's called Yalamlam, and that Irq, which is between Iraq and Mecca. So these are designated miqat by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So people coming from far away, obviously they are away from Mecca more than 88 kilometers. So that's why these are for those who are coming from far away. They pass by there, they enter the state of Ihram, then they continue their route to Mecca. So these miqats are for Hajj al-Tamattu. But people living in less than 88 kilometers, their miqat is not going out of 88 kilometers. They live inside. They're not coming from outside. So their miqat is remember Adna al-Hil, I drew a map, the border of Haram. The border of Haram, that means Hudaybiyah, Tan'im, Ju'rana, these places, some say just come out to the border, any place in the border, enter the state of Ihram and come back in Makkah. So the people living in 88 kilometers on Makkah, they will not have to go all the way there in the far away miqats. Juhfa is about 200 kilometers between Masjid al-Shadar, 400 kilometers is Medina. Okay, so Juhfa is about 200 kilometers. About Qarn al-Manazil on the east side in Ta'if, it is about 90 kilometers, more than 88. The Yalamlam farther, that Irq farther. So all these are 90 and above. So the one who's living in between Makkah and 88 kilometers or in Makkah, they don't have to go these miqat. Their miqat is the Haram, Adna al-Hil, because they are living between miqat and between Makkah. So they can enter the Ihram, state of Ihram, from the Adna al-Hil or from the border of Haram. Okay. So yes. So this person wants to do Umrat al-Tamattu before it converts. So can he do? He's living in Makkah, and he was obligated of Umrat al-Tamattu, but he's living in Makkah. Does he have to go to those miqat of Umrat al-Tamattu, or he can? Because see, let me clarify this scenario. The person moved in before entrance of 2 years. He has to do what? Hajj ifrad? No. Hajj al-Qiran? No. Hajj al-Tamattu. Okay? Hajj al-Tamattu. Where are the miqats of Hajj al-Tamattu? Far away. Okay? So, but he is residents of Makkah. So, Does or those places which are in the vicinity between 88 kilometers, between Makkah and 88 kilometers. So the rule of Meccan will apply on his Hajj al-Tamattu, Umrat al-Tamattu, Umrat al-Tamattu, or the rule of Umrat al-Tamattu will apply. You got this question mark? He's in limbo in between. He has to do Umrat al-Tamattu, miqat of Umrat al-Tamattu far away. But he is living in Makkah. Those Meccans, they have their miqat is border of the Haram. So which one would apply on this person? The rule of Umrat al-Tamattu miqat, or the rule of people residing in Makkah wanting to do Hajj? So that is why the ulamas, they have different opinion in these. Sayyidi Sistani puts a problem. He plugs it with a problem. So precautionary measure would be to go and do the Umrat al-Tamattu. That's a precautionary measure. Because if you do in Adna al-Hil and you're supposed to go to the miqat of Umrat al-Tamattu, you messed up with your ihram, messed up with your Hajj. And if you were supposed to do miqat in Adna al-Hil, but you did Umrat al-Tamattu miqat, alhamdulillah, you took the farthest. When you take the farthest, you are following the precautionary measures. Let's say this is done, it's precautionary measure. So we are talking about what? This guy came to Makkah, 2 years is not passed, and should he do the Umrat al-Tamattu miqat, or should he do the miqat of people of Makkah since he's living in Makkah? قيل يجوز له أن يحرم لعمرة التمتع. It is said, that means some ulama, some maraja, they said it is permissible for him to perform the Umrat al-Tamattu from where? Min adna al-hil, from the border of the Haram, the Haram of Makkah, rule of people of Makkah. So see, qila, it was said, like said by some scholars, that his duty is to perform Umrah, even though it's Umrah Tamattu, but he's living in Makkah, so he will do enter the state of Ihram, similar to those people who live in Makkah. That means from the border of the Haram, Adna al-Hil. But Sayyidi Sistani says, وَلَكِنَّهُ لَا يَخْلُو عَنْ إِشْكَالٍ. But this rule is not free from being problematic. Ishkal means hesitant. Sayyidi Sistani says, I can't give fatwa on this. Oh, what if he was supposed to do miqat of Umrat? Miqat of Umrat al-Tamattu is designated. And he's going to do here, even though he lives in Makkah. So he says, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say this. I'm going to say just use the precautionary measure. وَالْأَحْوَطْ وُجُوبًا, on the basis of obligatory precaution. Okay? يجوز والأحوط وجوبا, on the basis of obligatory precaution, أن يخرج إلى أحد المواقيت فيحرم منها. He has to exit on the basis of obligatory precaution. He has to come out, exit Makkah, or exit that place to one of those miqats. He has to come out to one of those miqats because he's in the vicinity. He has to come out of the vicinity in one of the miqats of Umrat al-Tamattu. فَيُحْرِمْ مِنْهُ, and enters the state of Ihram from there. بل الأحوط استحبابان أن يخرج إلى ميقات أهل بلده. Moreover, that it is recommended precaution. Now see, obligatory precaution is what? One of the miqat. Either go to Masjid al-Shajara, either go to Juhfa, Qarn al-Manazil, Yalamlam. And obviously he will choose Qarn al-Manazil because that's the closest. Ta'if is the closest miqat. Okay? About 90 kilometers. So this is option, obligatory precaution. However, he says, as a recommended precaution, choose the miqat of Umrat al-Tamattu which is associated with your country. إلى ميقات أهل بلده, like your hometown. So if you had, before coming to Makkah, you were living in United States or anywhere you have to come by Jeddah or fly over like Juhfa, for example, then you have to come to Juhfa. If you're living in Pakistan or Emirates or those places where you are in the east and you are coming from Ta'if, your miqat was Qarn al-Manazil, you are coming from east. So, and now you are in Makkah, recommended precaution, go to Ta'if. And if you're coming from Iraq, then recommended precaution, do it from there. If you're coming from Medina and North Jordan, all these places were northern, then you are going to do Juhfa. So anyhow, if you're living in Yemen and now you're in Mecca, you'll go to Yalamlam. This is recommended precaution. Obligatory precaution is choose any one of them. Okay? So ميقات أهل بلدي. Okay. And Sayyidi Sistani at end, he says, وَالظَّاهِرْ أَنَّ هَذَا حُكْمُ كُلُّ مَنْ كَانَ فِي مَكَّةِ وَأَرَادَ الْإِتْيَانَ بِحَجِّ التَّمَتُّعِ. This is the ruling. This is a general ruling for everyone who resides in Makkah or who was in Makkah وَأَرَادَ الْإِتْيَانَ بِحَجِّ التَّمَتُّعِ, and he wanted to perform Hajj of Tamattu, even if it was mustahab. Remember, people of Makkah can do Hajj al-Tamattu mustahab, but not as a wajib, not Hajjat al-Islam. This person who came from outside, he came in Makkah, 2 years not completed. If he wants to do his first Hajj obligatory, he has to do Hajjat al-Islam, Hajj al-Tamattu. So he says this rule is for everyone who was in Makkah and wanted to perform Hajj al-Tamattu, even if it was as a recommended Hajj al-Tamattu. Okay? So this was all for today. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.